Welcome to Kim Talks Resilience, where we share stories of insight and inspiration in life, love, and business with resilient women from around the world. Speaking with authors, entrepreneurs, founders, and coaches to learn their strategies for a more resilient life so we can all build the life we love. I'm your host, Kim Hayden. Alrighty, welcome back. Super excited to be here today, as I always am, because nothing sparks my spark more than talking to women who are actually making change, sharing their insight, their knowledge, and at the end of the day, just a little inspiration, because we all need that. If this is your first time here, welcome. Buckle up. Let's have some fun. Just lean into our resilient community and all these amazing women like Mariah have to say. So our guest today is Mariah MacInnes, the founder of Content Queen, is a passionate traveler, digital nomad, serial rambler, and big dreamer with a purpose to inform and educate. Mariah has been in the marketing industry for over 5 years and has a background in journalism and public relations. A go-getter with huge energy and passion for writing, Mariah has recently found more of a balanced lifestyle after being diagnosed with 2 tumors in her bowel and pancreas. This health scare sent her on a storytelling journey, which she's always been keen to talk about on social media and other content channels. And I think that you'll find, if you've been listening to the series as of recent, we've been talking a lot about quality of life and what is your body telling you? What is your mind telling you? Are you listening and seeing and really absorbing those signs that say, maybe there's time for a shift. Maybe you need to slow down. Maybe you need to change your trajectory. And maybe you just need to go on a walkabout. That's what you have down in Australia, right? A walkabout. No? Do you have
I've never heard
walkabouts?
of
Is
a
that what they're
walkabout.
called? Mariah?
No,
No, it's not
I haven't
a
heard of a
walkabout. What's
walkabout
it called?
before.
Okay, so all right. This is the Kansas girl trying to speak Aussie. Work with me, folks. Work with me. Okay.
Walkabouts. Oh, I guess so. Yeah, walkabouts. We do say that. Yeah.
Okay. And I know, Vegemite sandwich is for my favorite 80s song, come on. Okay. Like I said, I'm from Kansas, so bear with me. I haven't been down, down under as of yet.
Well,
As of
that is
yet. It
really.
is on my list. It is on my
Uh,
list. So, okay, Mariah, let's dive right in. Before we go into what you do, I want to dive into that who you are. And I think in the intro we heard a little bit of that kind of the formative of where you're at in the journey.
mm.
But share with us, who is Mariah?
Yeah. So Mariah is currently, as of recording this, 29 years old, and I'm from Australia, as you can probably hear from my accent. But yeah, I am. I'm a traveler. I'm a digital nomad, and that was very apparent to me from probably late teens when I just felt like I grew up in a small country town. And to me, I just wanted to see everything. I was always very curious, hence the journalism side to me. So I have this sense of adventure. And I'm an Aries star sign, so I'm a very fiery person, but I'm also very sensitive. And that's a part of me as well. So that empath in me is what makes me want to help people. And that's going to lead into what I do as well. But for me, yeah, I'm definitely an adventurer. I love to chitty chat. So, I love to talk. And also, I'm a storyteller. I know, Kim, we spoke in that's one of your biggest purposes, sharing stories. And I was always that kid in Australia. We have something called show and tell on a Monday morning where you show and tell what you did on the weekend. That was my highlight of the week. Even when I went into corporate, we did it every Monday, and I loved sharing a story. So I'm also that storyteller. I love to share my stories, stories of others, and hence also why I did journalism at university, because I love that storytelling aspect. So that's a little bit about me, and I guess it will make sense as to what I do when we dive into that.
Absolutely. Just so you know, folks, digital nomad. Check this out. 54 as of March 28th. There are now 54 countries with digital nomad visas. Like,
Really?
how cool is that? Like,
So
this is current information, folks. You go Spain, so many places in Spain. So you're living the life, my dear. You're living the life. I'm super, super excited because I'm just now a little late to the punch, but you know what? Being a digital nomad wasn't an option for me when I was 29. So I want to dive into what you do because anybody who is puts journalism. So here in North America, in the United States, saying that you're a journalist for some people will they very much poo-poo it. They very much turn down
Mhm.
because and yet without true journalism, the stories can't get out there. They will all be opinions. They won't be actual stories of what is happening. So walk
Mm.
through what you do, and kind of like how you serve through what you do.
Mm. Yeah, it's interesting with I think definitely journalism in Australia has taken some criticism as well. Definitely during the pandemic, I think there was always like, what's being shared and things like that. But yeah, I started journalism because I really loved sharing stories and I love to write. So what I do is I'm a content marketer. So I help small business owners and online entrepreneurs create content to share their story or share their business to be able to build connection and of course conversion because we want to sell what we do online. So I work one-on-one with clients, either creating content for them, or I have an educational side to the business where we teach people how to do it themselves. And for me, this was all about my purpose. And it was funny. I was going through it the other day we always have to reflect on our why every now and then. And what come up for me was, why am I doing what I'm doing? Obviously, I started my business to live a little bit more of a free lifestyle because hence the travel. And I want to help others do the same, live a free lifestyle. And sometimes the content creation process can be relentless. We can be on
Mhm.
that wheel of creating content all the time. And it is a 24-hour, news cycle now. Like we can't get off it. So I'm really about helping entrepreneurs sort of create content, share their message without feeling like they're online all the time or without burning out. So just to get that like freedom in their own time so they can live the life that they started their business for. I guarantee a lot of people didn't start their business to become a content creator.
Oh
And
yeah.
maybe they went down that path and that's a core strategy for their business. So I want to help them make it easier. So that's sort of what I do and how I serve. And really, I'm about making things easier. We don't have to be on all the time and we can still be seen and share our message because we all have amazing stories to tell.
I 110% agree with that. Everybody has a really cool story. They just maybe don't know it yet. Um,
Mhm.
how can somebody, so creating content is only one step of it. Then you got to get it actually loaded up. And then you've got to actually be able to step away from social media and have a life.
Mhm.
Walk me through that because that can be very daunting for a lot of people, especially people who are over 40 who have the proficiency. So they have 20 years or 25 years. They're ready to join that online movement. They're ready to mentor or coach, but they're this whole content and then this visibility in social media can be
Mm.
a super, super huge challenge. It can actually be what craters their business.
Mm.
So walk me through that. How do you shift mindset? Because that's where you
Mhm.
have to start, I would think, around how people approach content and distribution and navigating social media.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is a challenge, especially when, I also, even though social media came out when I was in my teens, I didn't grow up with social media. Social media wasn't a normal thing like it is now. Even posting a photo of your trip, you probably didn't do it until you got home. You didn't do it on the move. Like I remember creating, I had a blog and things like that. There was just different types of content when I was sort of growing up. But And so I understand that it's this overwhelming process. And I know what happens a lot of the time is business owners will sit down and they'll create a strategy. They'll create what they're going to post, what days they're going to show up, and then they don't execute it. And you could have the best strategy in the world, but if you don't put it out there,
Yeah.
then it's not going to happen. So definitely the mindset is a big thing. And I think the biggest thing with content creation is learning how you work, learning what you love to do first. Because I know a lot of people don't love showing up on video every single day. And you've got marketing gurus out there like, you have to show up on video. And if you do not show up on video, you will not be successful. And I'll challenge that because there's some very successful bloggers still blogging. There's some very successful podcasts out there without, and of course you want to show your face in some degree, but that doesn't have to mean repeating and copying and pasting a strategy of someone else that also has probably a team making sure that that content gets out there. And also, it's funny, someone mentioned to me the other day on my podcast, this I have a dedicated social media manager in my team. That's a job. That's a single
Yep.
job of one person. And as a business owner, we're expected to do that as well as serve our clients, be the bookkeeper, be the, head of finance, all those things. So the one thing I always talk about is understanding how you work is very important, how you create what you like to create. But then also, give yourself some compassion. You don't have to show up every day to be successful on social media. You just have to find something that works for you, and then you can add to it once you've gotten familiar. I would hate for someone to start out and be like, yeah, I'm going to post every single day. I'm going to do a reel every day or a video, and I'm going to show up on stories, and this is my plan. And then they get, the first week done. It's like New Year's when you come out of the new year and you're like really healthy for the first month, and then you sort of drop off. So I get it. I understand that happens for people. So when I help them with strategy, especially those that aren't used to being on social media, I would never expect them to jump on that hamster wheel and create content like a machine, because it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
We get used to this over time. So the first thing is, finding the platform that you really enjoy and what you want to create. I had a client that she really wanted to start a podcast, but she unfortunately lost her voice due to she was battling some health issues. So she's like, you know what, I love to write. So I'm just going to write. I said, do that. No one's turned around and said, oh, blogging's dead, forget it, because it's not. So she found so much passion in writing again. And that was beautiful. And we're able to use that blog to repurpose to social media. And that sort of alleviates the pressure of her having to be everywhere in different
Well,
places.
and there's now voice AI. There's
Mm,
voice AI. So if you post on Medium, it says how long's a read. You can click that and it will actually read it to you through an AI voice.
amazing.
So
Mm,
there's so many things out there
yeah.
for that.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
she's doing the blog,
Yeah.
and she
Yeah.
cuts those up. Do you treat it just like you would a video where you cut up pieces, and how does that
Exactly.
work?
Yeah,
Walk me through that.
exactly. So taking the key points out of the blog and making it into short form social media posts. So there might be like, because she shares her own story. So there might be, we take the story element and create a post on the story and direct people to the blog. We might take, there might be 5 tips in there. So we take them and we can repurpose those. They could be tips on their own, or they could be a bundle of tips. And then also she always has a powerful quote in there, either from herself, and like, that's a quotable, turn that into something. So, we really want to take, and I do the same thing with my podcast. My podcast is essentially my whole social media for the week, because we don't have time to be creating new unique bits of content every day. Also, if we think about consistency in terms of how our audience works, they might listen to your podcast, not take in any of the information, then see what you wrote on social media and go, oh my God, it makes sense. So we need to get out of that mindset of, oh my God, I can't share the same thing because people will think I'm being repetitive. You absolutely have to share the same thing, because that's what's building a brand is all about, being consistent with your messaging. So that's sort of that limiting belief I think I see a lot, especially in those that aren't used to creating content on social media, because we can be a little bit naive and think, oh my God, someone's going to see everything. They're going to see my Instagram, my blog, and my Facebook post.
Yeah, no,
They're not.
no, no, because very few people will check all 3 platforms or all 4 platforms at the same time.
Mm. Mhm,
TikTok,
mhm,
let's pull apart TikTok.
mm.
Why should I have so many people telling me you have to be on TikTok. And I'm going,
Mhm.
oh my God. Because I like, well, just can't you post a video from my podcast? And they're like, no, you have to do something original or new on TikTok. And it's like, I'm not dancing. You don't want me to sing. Trust me. So let's pull apart TikTok because I think this is the one that's got a lot of people overwhelmed.
Mhm.
Um,
Mhm.
tell me.
Yep. Yeah. So the first thing I would question you on that, Kim, is if someone's telling you you have to do something, you don't have to do it. And that's the number one thing people are like, you have to do this, you have to do that. And we always reflect on this have to. You're going to want to, because if you want to dedicate time to that platform, you're going to want to love it, right? So if you don't love a channel, I know people that are running very successful businesses and they're not on a woman that completely quit social media because she was an introvert and she was sick of it. She runs her business off her blog, her podcast, and her email list. So we hear things that we have to do, and if it makes us feel like contracted and we're not going to be successful on that platform, our mindset's going to block us from the very beginning. But TikTok is a very interesting platform because repurposing onto TikTok can work, but you just have to make sure the content that you create isn't formatted to, say, an Instagram. And utilizing saving posts directly from Instagram with the watermark just aren't working on TikTok because TikTok and Instagram have this little bit of a debate. But they just don't like each other. If you repurpose, like, you have to completely clean the whole video, and there's little apps you can do that. But with TikTok, what people are saying to you is correct. You do have to create something quite unique. But this is what I think. With TikTok, if you make an assumption that TikTok's going to work for your business and that makes you feel excited, then yes, try it. But what I would do first is maybe dedicate 3 months to the channel and go all in on it. Maybe you have to take a pause from Instagram. You can definitely repurpose parts of your podcast. I would just be intentional with how you film something. So maybe it's not with your branding and everything. Maybe it's a video that you set up here while you're talking and you can take a snippet from it. I know a guy that repurposes his podcast, but he kind of formats it for TikTok. So it looks like it's created for TikTok. There's lots of creators that use it for their podcast and they do it very well, but they're intentional that that video is for TikTok. So we need to make sure it's set up in a way that's going to be beneficial for the platform and people. It's going to make sense, right? So you almost need to dedicate your show to, okay, that's going to be filmed for TikTok in a way. Like, you want to maybe restructure your show or the way you film it. Anyway, so you might make a decision, okay, I'm going to dedicate time to TikTok. So once you've sort of built up a following on TikTok, you could then take those videos and then repurpose them out, or you can do it while you're experimenting TikTok. I guess it just depends on the time you have. What I do now is when I'm creating videos, I sync both Instagram and TikTok. So I'm very intentional that this video can be used for both, but I never film them on one platform. I film them outside of the platforms and then edit them in the platforms so that the Instagram, the social media platform, is like, okay, this video has been made for us. And it has worked for me. When I was like, okay, I'm going to create just TikTok content, I found it didn't work as well. And now I'm getting the best of both worlds. But if you're going to dedicate time to TikTok, how else can you use that? Can you repurpose to Pinterest? Can or can you do that down the track? Always have in your mind, how can I use this later? Because we don't want to have wasted time on one platform. Because as we know with social media, once someone sees something, it's pretty much gone. So you lose, that time, that video that might have taken you,
Yep.
I don't know, even an hour sometimes to put together is going to be gone in an instant. So you need to be like, how can I repurpose this to get everything out of it? Utilize it in the future, maybe when you're ready to build a team or when you've just gotten into the groove of content creation and you feel like you can add another platform. It's all about you. Like, my TikTok gets used on Pinterest and I'm also on another side hustler platform called FUD. So that, and then Instagram. So that one TikTok can go across 3 platforms and my LinkedIn actually. So, I'm trying to utilize that piece of content because I
What
don't want
is
it to
FUD?
replace it. It's this really cool platform that I got invited to be a creator on. It's a new social media platform for side hustlers. So it's helping side hustlers. And I know they've tweaked it a lot to create mini courses, but it's all about helping side hustlers grow their businesses while they're working a full-time job, which I think is really cool.
That is
And
very cool. Where did
yeah,
that originate out of? Because I haven't heard of it yet.
yeah, the States. So I
Out of the
think it was,
States, eh?
yeah, it was only born, they contacted me last year. to join their team, and it was very fresh. So I think it was out of, I know one of the founders is in California.
Yeah.
But yeah, really interesting concept and really cool because I know like in Australia there's not as many side hustlers as there is in the States, but it is starting to become more of a thing. I mean, a lot of some workplaces even in Australia don't let you have a side hustle.
Really?
But I know that's like starting to change a lot.
And that
As
seems to be the legacy all millennials are leaving us with, is how do you have a profitable side hustle? I mean, they're the ones that
Mhm.
brought that in. I mean, I don't think that Uber could have ever been Uber without a millennial behind the wheel, right? It's like,
Very true.
you know,
Yeah.
I the the evolution of technology and the millennial demographic really shifted the world, and then you compound it by locking us all in for 2 years. That I mean, I don't know a lot of people who want to be tied down to a specific job for the rest of their life.
Yeah, no.
I just I I think that's a generation that has is now officially gone. It's kind of
Mm.
like, you know, 19, 40, and the car's been around since, 1901, and we're okay. We can take the horses off the street. So,
Yeah.
um, I think that's kind of where we're at. Let's talk content and AI.
Mm.
So I was using Jasper
Yep.
before Chat GPT flooded the market, and basically Jasper is just um, a cleaned up version of Chat. It's actually a really good writing tool. Um, and my husband is dyslexic, so
Mhm.
the writing tools, as soon as those started coming online, they literally changed his ability to get content out, to write the articles that he wanted to write. So, talk to me about the good, the bad, and the ugly within AI, and how you're seeing it be used for good, and where people should maybe pull in a little.
Mm. Yeah, this is an interesting topic because it's funny how I'm going to share a story first of how I see AI in my industry. So when I first had my first part-time job was at Kmart. And I know Kmart is in the States and in North America. I don't think it's in Europe, but anyway, it's a department store. And I started working there, and everything was very manual, so it needed people to operate it. And about 2 years in, 3 years in, we got self-serve checkouts. And I remember consistently as these were new, people coming up to me, "Aren't you worried you're going to lose your job? Aren't you worried you're going to lose your job?" And I was like, I just said, take a deep breath. And I said, actually, no, I'm not because I'm now being trained on these. They do need someone to operate these machines. And it's given me more opportunity. And I actually make more money now because I'm now classified as a leader in this space. And I know how to use these. I know how to fix them. I know how to help you when unexpected item in the bagging area comes up. You need me to help you. So no, I'm not. I'm actually really grateful because it's made my job a lot easier and I get paid more, and it means that, yeah, I'm upskilling and I can say that I was one of the first people to use self-serve checkouts at Kmart, and so that was my analogy when AI came out and I had people saying like, aren't you worried? Like, what does that look like? And because these things always need training, we need to ask them the right questions, but also it's not taking away from writing because a machine's going to spit out something for you, but you need to add something that makes it unique. Otherwise, it's just going to look like everything else. So you need to add what I had a mentor call heartbeats. And these are our own personal experiences and our own stories and what makes our opinion matter. So when you add these little heartbeats in, that's what makes it unique, but only you can do it or only I can do it as a content writer. A machine doesn't know our brain and our story. And yeah, like it definitely can change tone. And I actually asked it the other day, can you write this to make it sound a little bit more Australian? And I was like, mate, in the writing, I was like, oh no, come on. It gets better. I
That's
was like, "Mate," it
oh,
was great, it was so
that's
funny, and
hilarious.
isn't it?
That's hilarious.
And it was, like, so casual, the writing tone, but what I'm seeing are really good with my clients, what they're utilizing AI for is to help them get off the ground, to help them get started, the bones of things or a catchy subject line or something to get them started. And then it allows them the space to add those unique elements to it.
Yeah.
And as you're saying, Kim, like, those that felt like they weren't writers are now becoming writers. And I think that's so powerful because, it allows you space in your business to, reach new people, that people that maybe you wouldn't have been able to reach before or be seen for your brilliance. And maybe you haven't felt that before. So I think that's what's amazing about it. And then the bad thing, of course, is those that don't reflect on the work or just, get it out there and don't read it. Because, of course, like these machines, they're not made to make something unique or they're not made to make something different from everyone else's. So the bad thing is those that don't actually, we can get a bit lazy and just go, yep, cool, done, post it up there without actually adding our own flair to it. And I think that's where it can go wrong. And I would really challenge people utilizing these AI platforms to just make sure that when you're doing it, you don't get stuck in that vortex of just like robot mode, get it out, and you actually do spend a bit of time like reading it and making sure that it sounds like your brand tone. And because also these AI platforms are not your brand, they don't know your brand tone, even if you could tell them.
Yeah, they don't
Um,
have EQ.
yeah,
So, yeah.
exactly. Yeah, they definitely don't have the emotional intelligence that we do to really lift
Yeah.
that piece up. But it's really good for ideas and for inspiration and for things that are trending. And um, it's a lot quicker than Google. It does the researching for you, which I think is great and can really help you get your answers. But also you want to fact check these things too, because like we're just trusting something.
Yeah.
We do, especially when we're in a rush, have, we can trust things a little bit too much and then maybe get caught out, especially if you're on like a very intense topic or something that really needs the research. We can't like outsource, that kind of thing, and the due diligence to just make sure that it makes sense and it works and it's not, problematic
So,
or it's not incorrect.
so
So
read
yeah.
it before you post it, folks. Read it before you post it.
Definitely, definitely. It's like,
Um,
AI with Grammarly. I love Grammarly. Like I've used it for years and years. I think like they send me emails to say like how many million words I've put through Grammarly. It's insane. But also there's times I'm like, no, I disagree with what you've said. Like, so we can't just go, yep, click all the changes because it doesn't know the context of what you're writing in either or the purpose of what you're putting out there too. So you just gotta, you can challenge these machines. They're not always correct.
well, and they don't, it's funny because a lot of it doesn't pick up like old slang. So
Hmm.
chickens coming home to roost is an old term. And the Grammarly turned it to chickens coming home to roast. And we didn't catch it. And we put that out on a newsletter that went to 5,000 homes in print. And somebody actually sent us an email going, "Why are you roasting chickens?" Right? It's like, what's going on? So yes, do read it, check it, then read it again. Absolutely. So you shared in the opening your medical challenges that really did kind of make you step back and say, "Well, wait, this is not how I want to live my life." Um, Walk us through your story of resilience,
Mm.
and that without pulling on that resilient muscle, that core deep depth of us, that you wouldn't be having this conversation today.
No, absolutely not. And I think these are wake up calls that we always need. And I know a lot of entrepreneurs, especially female entrepreneurs out there, that they start a business and they work really hard on it. And that's why I am also extremely passionate about making sure that entrepreneurs aren't on this hamster wheel of content creation because burnout leads to so many things, right? And I didn't realize what I was doing when I was doing it because I loved what I did, but I remember those like tiny little comments from I was living with my brother at the time during the pandemic is like, "You're working a lot." "Yeah, yeah, yeah, okay. Whatever. Leave me alone. You've annoyed me. I'm liking what I'm doing. Just let me be." So those little comments come up and you sort of just deflect them and deflect them. And then you realize, like, you haven't spent much time with your family. You're on your computer. And now I reflect and I'm like, am I going to remember all those times I was on my computer? Or am I going to remember the times that I was with my family or traveling or all those things? And there's a very clear answer on that. Perfect example. My brother wants to go out for lunch today. We fly out for Europe on Saturday. We have a lot to do. I said to my partner, what do you want to do? He's like, we are going for lunch. Like, that's the important thing. I started my business to live a free lifestyle. And what am I going to say no because I have work to do? I'm just going to make it work. So for me, I was on that hamster wheel, working, saying yes to everything, doing all the things because, yes, they have led to great opportunities for me. But there was that huge wake up call when the doctor said, you have a tumor on your bowel. And I was like, what? Like, I was 26 years old. Like, I'm like, this doesn't happen to 26-year-olds. Like, I'm meant to be like, we were in a lockdown, so I was meant to be living my best life. We're coming into summer, like that's what I was meant. I was moving to Sydney. I was like a new start. And then they're like, it's benign, you'll be fine. I was like, okay, cool. Kind of just picked myself back up and kept working. And then all of a sudden, it's like 2 days before the new year, and I'm in a surgeon's office, and he's saying it's a lot different to what you've been told. We need to do further tests. It looks like it's spread to your pancreas. So, Happy New Year. Like, I'll talk to you in January. And it's like, okay. And just something flicked in me, like this sort of trigger that's like, all right, I need to do something because I can't feel sorry for myself. I can, in a way, like I can have my moment, but I need to do something. I need to change my life. I need to reflect on what I've done for the past, year and a half. And I need to make a change because I'm not going to, passionate, hit my mic. I'm not going to be around, like, I'm just not going to be, I'm not going to have a business if I don't prioritize my health. So I really went on this journey, and of course I've plummeted in times. There's times where I've got really excited about a new project and probably worked too much. But the thing with this journey and what I've really been able to do is reflect and be self-aware of what's happening. So yes, I'm human. Of course I'm going to work too much. Of course I'm going to get excited and go down that path of, getting excited, loving what I'm doing. But there's that person in the back of my mind saying, like, Mariah, remember, remember the shit you went through. Like, it was 4 weeks in hospital. I have to see an oncologist for the next 10 years because the cancer that I had is a slow growth cancer, and they cut it all out, but you just don't know. So not only do I have to be, mindful for the past self, I have to be mindful for the future self because it's still not over yet. I'm still not out of this. I'm still going through it. And there's always those, I'm lucky that my body is reminding me to slow down. I know other people don't have that. And I know people have had that when it's been too late. Like, I'm lucky. And people are
Yep.
like, how are you lucky? And it's like, because my body is telling me, even when, like, I had a headache this morning, I didn't sleep well. Oh my God, it's annoying, you got a headache. But at least my body's telling me that I didn't do something properly for it. Yes, my body is sensitive. Yes, that's frustrating. I can't eat the foods that everyone else eats, but at least my body's telling me. So, now more than ever, like, I can tune into that. And the resilience came through when it was like, I don't have a choice. I have to do this. I have to get through this because my goal to travel, my goal to see the world, my goal to, I was single at the time, my goal to, like, have a partner and be in love and have a family. Like, I haven't done what I want to do yet. So I don't have a choice. I have to get through this. And okay, there were moments I was not so resilient. When my parents would come and see me in hospital and I'd be a mess. Like, I'd cry the whole day. But then the next day I'd pick myself back up. And I think the thing with resilience is it's okay to feel shit. And it's okay to give yourself that grace to, like, cry and feel sorry for yourself. But it's when you pick yourself up is the most important thing. I think that's where the resilience comes in. You're not weak if you're upset by what's happening, but it's what you do from then on after you've sort of moved through it. I think, and just honor those feelings. If I didn't honor those feelings, I wouldn't have been able to pick myself up. So yeah, it's an interesting journey. I'm still going through the resilience. I mean, I had a shitty appointment the other day where my doctor said they found something on my liver, which has always been there, but they want to do an MRI. I'm like, I'm going to Europe in a week. Like, why? Anyway, I had my cry. I moved through it. And now I'm just like, okay, what's next? So it's just, honoring
Yep.
those feelings, but picking yourself back up because you have, like, there's no one else that's going to do it for you. There's no one that's going to lift me out of the
No,
hospital
yeah,
bed and put me back
nobody's
in
coming to
the
save you. Nobody's going to
that.
do, yeah, it's
Mhm.
do it yourself, right? And
Yeah.
if you're lucky enough, you get through this life, you slide into the grave kind of rough and tumble, and hopefully you get some scars to you. But boy, you have a legacy you leave behind,
Mm,
right? And that's
mm,
that's the goal, is to live your life well.
mm.
Um, Mariah, give us a rundown. Where can people find you, follow you, engage? I don't know, stalk you. What's available out there?
Yeah, so I'm very active on social media. So my Instagram, Mariah underscore content queen, is sort of my own personal journey. But then the content side of things is a content queen Mariah, where we share more content tips. But my Instagram is my travels, a bit of content, marketing stuff, but a lot about my journey. And then TikTok is mainly where I share my health journey. I niched myself long ago. I can't unniche, but I've helped a lot of people that have gone through something similar to me that has also been very young. So they're the main places. And then, yeah, LinkedIn, as more, I share a lot about content and a bit of the digital nomad journey. So pick what you'd prefer to learn about and follow me on any of those channels.
That's amazing. I for those of you who are watching the video, I have to say I absolutely love your eyes. You have beautiful, beautiful eyes. Are they green or blue? I can't
Blue,
tell. They're
blue.
blue. They
I've
are
got the light
just
on, it's helping.
they're they it's the color is just so vibrant. It's
Oh,
just
thank you.
beautiful, and it just pulls me right in. When I'm watching you, I'm tracking your eyes. And for those of you who are, will either read this blog or listen to this podcast on an audio platform, do jump over and take a look, because your smile literally radiates all the way through your eyes. Like your energy is so infectious. Um,
Oh, thank you.
and I just have to say, I thoroughly enjoyed our conversation today. And did you have anything like on your website that can help people just better understand what you do? Is there, because that's contentqueenmariah.com. Is there anything in
Yeah.
there within the content? What do you got?
Mhm. Yeah, so if you head to my website, I do a monthly workshop if you want to sort of getting started on content. If you're very keen to learn what channel is right for you, I mentioned that earlier, finding where you love to create. I have a quiz on there as well. They're both free. They're as soon as you get to my website, you will see those. But that's more about if you're just starting out and you want to learn more about the content creation process for your business, or if you just want to start creating content, I think that's the best place to start.
Oh, find out what platform. I may just have to go to there, because I'm telling you, it gets, all the content can get a little tiresome. I just want to talk to people and then figure out how, like, somebody else figure
Yeah,
out how to get it all out there. I
you
I
do it. Yeah.
yeah, it's like outside. I don't like going there. Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg. Damn you, Mark Zuckerberg. Um, yeah, no. But okay, so I always like to close the show out with a quote. And the reason being is, I I'm going to just say it. This is my truth. If you don't want to buy into it, that's fine. But I believe that there are tough days. And some days we don't always have something to pull on. And so I always like to put this whole stack of all these awesome quotes, so that you can just, if you need something, you can pull from it. If you're overwhelmed with what you're building, you can pull with it. If you've had a bad doctor's appointment, you can pull from it. There'll be a whole stack of quotes here. So you're up,
Mhm.
Mariah. What is your quote and why?
Yeah, so I chose life is content, and because we all have a story to tell. And why I love this, and I think this is really useful, especially if you're having a shit day, it will become content later. It'll become a story that you can share online. It can become a story that you share with a friend that's going through the same thing. Like, this came from a friend that doesn't even post on social media, and we're in this beautiful scenery in Australia, this beautiful beach, like picture Australian beaches, like this is one of the best. And she turned to me and she's like, life is content, because we're like taking our pictures, we're absorbing the scenery. And I'm like, you are right, Jenna. Life is content. And I'm stealing that quote from you and I'm using that forever, because there are things around us that become content, whether it's content online or content in your life. My health journey is going to become a book one day. It is going to become something one day. I turned to a friend when I got diagnosed. I said, well, if I'm going to get diagnosed with cancer and have this shitty operation, I'm going to tell the story, because it's going to help someone. So life is content. Even if you've got having going through some shit, it'll become content down the track, and you might not have the silver lining right then and there, but it'll come one day.
It'll come one day, folks. I agree 110%. Like Annie says, the sun will come out tomorrow, tomorrow. Okay. Before I start singing and torturing everybody here, I want to thank you so much, Mariah, for your time, for sharing your story, sharing your insight. If you feel that you're drowning on content, that's okay. That's actually normal. That's give yourself grace. Go over to Mariah's site, take some quizzes, and let's narrow that down to one platform or find strategies to throw you a life raft so you don't feel like you're drowning anymore. Until next time, all I can say is be good to yourself, folks. Don't expect more from yourself than you would expect from others. We have a bad habit of doing that. So give yourself some grace. And until next time, be sure to watch my super duper awesome video closing.
Thank you for joining us here today at Kim Talks Resilience. I'm your host, Kim Hayden, and I'd love to invite you to our resilient community at resilientgift.com. That's resilientgift.com, and we'll send you our magazine and tickets for upcoming events and all sorts of cool things we do here. So be sure to keep watching, and you know what? Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and share, because we all know that sharing is caring.